So that is something very, very aptly put up by this thing, and you also point on to that. So you spoke about coding, very important. Whether you get into the IT business or not, coding actually makes you a logical person. You can think beyond, because what we want to do, not that everybody is going to become an AI intelligent AI engineer or a software developer, but whether you become or not, you will understand things logically. And yes, India has the largest pool of computer engineers in the world. We will become the largest pool of people who have their own patents. क्योंकि अभी हम क्या कर रहे हैं, all engineers are doing what somebody is telling them to do. Once they understand coding, they will want to do what they want to do. So what India is trying to do, or what this policy is trying to do, is to create job givers, not job seekers. ये एक important चीज है, sir, that is what is happening onto that. Going on to something important, sir, you spoke about vocational training. Very important, you rightly said. हर बच्चे को हर चीज पता होनी चाहिए, so that dignity of labor, किसी और के vocation को हम सलाम करें, उनको उसकी वैल्यू दे. That is an important part, sir. When you talked about a student can do anything that he wants, that's important. If you do what you like, you're not doing anything. तो स्ट्रेसफुल लाइफ नहीं रहेगी. अगर मुझे मेरे पेरेंट्स ने कहा तुमने डॉक्टर बनना, मैं डॉक्टर बन गया, लेकिन मुझे मजा नहीं आ रहा होगा. लेकिन वहीं पे मैं म्यूजिशियन बन जाऊं, जिस तरह विनायक जी मुझे बनाए, तो मेरी लाइफ अच्छी हो गई. सो दैट्स एन इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. यू ऑल्सो स्पोक अबाउट लैंग्वेज. सर, you spoke about mother tongue, very important. I will come and focus on during my turn, because that will be in the end. I will also talk about what is there for the future. But when you spoke about foreign language, when you spoke about Chinese, sir, Chinese आएगा. हमने चाइना के नाक में दम करने के लिए उनका नाक दबा दिया था, हम आपकी सब चीजें बंद कर देंगे. Now, since they have already signed the agreements, in the coming 1 year, like you said, Chinese आएगा, because these two languages, Chinese, English, and Hindi. The Hindi is the third or the fourth largest language spoken in the world. Okay, so that is all going to happen. So yes, thank you so much for your insights. I now move on to the next speaker. So do we have Prashant sir? Prashant sir, can we have your views, your points on what has been discussed, and how you, as a young educationist, would want to take the burden on your shoulder and take it to the next level? Over to you, Prashant. प्रशांत जी, यू आर ऑन म्यूट सर, आपका म्यूट पे है सर.
Thank you, Jacinderji. I think after listening to Shuchi Gupta madam and Alok sir, they've summed up the Bible, in their limited 8-10 minutes. And I was wondering how different I could be. So when I saw my name on the post in the lower half, I knew that, I'll be, having this problem where most of the NAP might have already been spoken and shared by them, and how to interest the audience so that my viewers don't drop from 50, So I'll deviate a little bit from the topic, but I'll stick to the fundamentals.
Think about Jaswinder ji, who's ultimately going to be the last speaker.
Yeah, so I'm accepting the challenge, sir, and I'll try to do justice. So, yeah, good afternoon now, everybody. So, NEP, yes, schooling still starts from the age of 3. We have children staying in our schools for 1 more year, the 5, 3, 3, 4. Whether they go to preschools or they come to traditional schools for those, foundation years, all of 5 or not, that's to be seen. But yeah, they spend 1 more year in a school system. No rigid separation between science, commerce, and arts, internships, and vocational education from class 6 onwards, and board exams having slightly lower weightage, and so many other points. Eminent panelists have already spoken. What I need to stress, what I feel I need to stress on is, and my forte being a storyteller, since I write short stories, motivational short stories, I'll stick to that. Maybe that interests the audience a little bit more and gets a little point across. वही सब बातें जो सर ने करी है, मैडम ने करी है, but in a probably a different way. So children are like clay, whatever falls on them makes an impression, whether they are 3-year-olds, even 17-year-olds, something keep pegging on them, makes an impression on their mind. And when we talk about the youngest group, 85% of the child's cumulative development happens before they reach class 6. So whatever happens in their homes, whatever happens in the classrooms in those initial 2-3 years really makes a serious impression on their lives. I'll just come back to a few, the founding principles which got the NAP. So it says recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development, both in academic and non-academic spheres. Which reminds me of a young boy many, many years ago. And he started his schooling. Mother enrolled him in a school, and he started studying. And sooner the teachers realized that this boy had a problem. He was not writing all that well, listening all that carefully, wasn't attentive in the class. So, and they diagnosed or labeled him as a ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that he had. And yeah, he was titled with that title. And then obviously special educators came in. This child did not have much interest in studies still. So he used to go swimming with his mother in the evening in the nearby pool, and the coach there slowly realized that he was a good swimmer. So why not he do swimming? And the mother, along with the coach, decided to put him more hours in swimming, and whatever time he could do and whatever he could do in the school infrastructure, that's absolutely fine. Slowly he started winning medals, started representing the city, the state, eventually the university, eventually the country, and he was the youngest swimmer, national swimmer at his age in his country. His mother taught him stories about fellow compatriots, fellow swimmers across the country, and he read about a swimmer who had won 7 gold medals at Olympic Games, and he decided if somebody else can do it, why not me? This was a willpower, and the system around which he was living in decided to put him into swimming full time. And this boy had a seed in his mind that if somebody can win 7 gold medals, why not me? And he started winning. And he was the youngest Olympian to represent his country in the Olympic Games. I'm talking about Michael Phelps, ladies and gentlemen. He was an Olympian. So back in 2004, he won a lot of medals at the Olympic Games. And 2008, he was pitted to be the best Olympian. He was supposed to break a lot of world records. This is Michael Phelps, sir. So, but just before the 2008 Olympic Games, Michael Phelps had a car accident. He was driving his car and he hit, something off the road, and he had a fracture on his arm. The doctor ruled him out, said, "You can't swim. Sorry, you have to take rest because the arm is ultimately made of plaster." What he did along with his coach was, who also said, "You need to take rest, my dear friend." He decided to still swim with a little plastic bandage on top of the plaster, with his arm on his sides. He was doing the butterfly stroke, which is swimming just with his legs underwater for 8 hours a day, because he wanted to represent his country at the Olympic Games. And he decided to swim just for 8 hours, just the breaststroke, just the butterfly stroke, which is without his arms. What it did was his legs eventually got a lot stronger. And once his plaster was removed after 3-4 months, and the doctor said, "You can start practicing," he said, "Sir, I was always practicing. Now I'll practice with my arms." Come the Olympic Games in 2008, and Michael Phelps was representing United States of America. And his first competitive race, he won a gold. The second, another gold. The third, another gold. The fourth, another gold. Fifth, another gold. Sixth, another gold. Seventh, another gold. And dear friends, all of them were world records. But he was focused on the eighth race that he had to, participate and win a gold and break the record of Mark Spitz, who had won 8 medals, but they were not all gold. But he had finished 8 times on the podium. So his most important race was the eighth. And his mother knew it, his coach knew it, the entire nation knew it, United States. And off went the whistle, and Michael Phelps jumped into the pool. And by the time he reached the other side, and it might have been a 400 meters, I'm not sure, his coach and mother realized that he's lagging behind. He's not as fast as he usually is, and there's something wrong. Sooner he took pace, and finally he finished the race, and he looked up at the big screen, and it showed world record and that he had finished first and he had won a gold. His coach and mother realized that his glass had cracked. The swimming goggles that he was wearing had cracked. And that might have hindered him from, lagging behind in the first half of the race. But the fact of the matter is, my dear friends, it is just the willpower, the desire that we create in every child right from the moment we say go, the moment he is born into this planet. And whatever he wishes to do is achievable if the ecosystem around him or her is such. So Michael Phelps became the most illustrated Olympian till date, and I quote him because we have a lot of success stories in our country too, but we haven't won 8 gold medals put together, and which Michael Phelps did in just the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. And yes, we need to create an ecosystem where we create so many more Michael Phelps. And I want to stress again on the lines that I quoted from the NAP, which say recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of every student by sensitizing teachers, parents, and all stakeholders to ensure each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. I'd like to stress on a few more of these fundamental points, and I'll quote another story, Jaswinder sir, if you allow me, if I have time, which go by the NEP fundamentals go by multidisciplinary and a holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports for a multidisciplinary world to ensure the unity and integrity of all knowledge. Emphasis on conceptual understanding rather than rote learning, creativity and critical thinking to encourage logical decision making, and flexibility so that learners have the ability to choose their learning trajectories and programs and thereby choose their own path of life according to their talent and interest. So complete ecosystem change is what is required. And I'll quote another quick story again. I'm sorry to say it's not from India. I was in Australia for a couple of years and I met a gentleman and somebody told me that he had won a marathon. In Australia, they called it an ultra marathon, which happened many, many years ago. And it was the first of its kind between Sydney and Melbourne. It takes about 12 hours by road to reach Sydney and Melbourne. So I'm presuming it was a long marathon. When I spoke to this gentleman and somebody was with him, told me his story, it goes like that. The first time the marathon was happening, the whole city was excited. People from Sydney and Melbourne were trying to take part in that marathon and enrolling left, right, and center. And there were a few young runners and a new set of runners also who were trying their luck as to run. And on the day of the marathon, all people, everybody had lined up. And there was this young man who was wearing his gumboots. He had a pair of trousers and, a shirt on him. And people were wondering how he's going to run how many kilometers? About an 800-kilometer marathon from Sydney to Melbourne. And people realized that he's eventually going to finish in a couple of hours and come back home. Off went the marathon, and this gentleman kept running. So were the other specialist long distance runners from across the world and Australia, nice and tall and big. And in the evening, all the runners had to stop, take rest, and then start again next morning. Come evening, this gentleman did not stop. He kept running. And the others realized soon he's going to tire out, and maybe next morning he's going to stop somewhere. And even the staff and the medical persona were, a little troubled and terrified. They were following him, hoping that he might, fall out. But come next morning, he was still running. All the athletes started fresh. They were trying to catch up on him. But this man was still running. Come the second day, the third day, and the fourth day, this man did not sleep. This man kept running. And when he reached Melbourne, which was the finishing line, 2 days ahead of time, the organizers had to hurry up and put the ribbon, call the guests, to get the medal podium and media ready, because this gentleman had finished the marathon 2 days prior to everybody else. And once he finished the finishing line, and the media was all over, the media from all over the world was after him, and they asked him, "So why didn't you stop on day one when you were supposed to, when you were asked to, you had the privilege to, when all other athletes did?" He said, "I just enrolled for the marathon. I did not read the terms and conditions. I'm used to running after my sheep. I'm a farmer. And when my sheep gets lost at night, I spend hours and hours to look for sheep on my farm. And Australian farms are huge in size. And I would spend hours just in the fields to look for my sheep, because I can't sleep if my sheep is out in the open in the cold or in the wet rain." And how did you manage to run without your dentures? So my dear friends, this gentleman, Cliff Young is his name, but at the time of the marathon, he was 62 years of age and was running that marathon without his dentures, because he said, if I wore my dentures, they would clatter when I would run and might be a hindrance. So my dear friends, it is the belief system that is inculcated in an individual right at the age, at the foundation level, which makes him do amazing things. In our schools, we have children who might not be the best learners and they still make it big in life. Probably I have plenty of case studies where the biggest cars are owned by the children who are backbenchers. I hope children are not listening to this, but yeah, amazing things happen inside the classroom, and it begins and happens very early in their life. So if we inculcate values in children wherein they are confident young individuals and they decide to choose what they wish to do within this framework of NEP, and I like to state here, we have no room for complacency. We have no room for regret 10 years from now. We need to implement this NEP wholeheartedly and ensure that, whenever there's an opportunity, whether it was COVID or any other time, leaders, I believe, are not born or made. They just show up. Whenever there's an opportunity, Dr. Ellie from the Covaxin company, or so many other COVID warriors have come up and shown up leadership skills in these pandemic times and earlier also. So we need to create leaders who will show up, and that system has to start from the foundation years, right from the classroom. So whether this justifies my representing this uh, talk on NEP or not, I'm not sure. But I thought I'll put these 2 points across to ensure that everybody who's here in this room and might be listening otherwise ensures that our children are confident young individuals and their creativity is not hampered. We don't snub them and tell them to sit down. The classroom size, I believe, needs to be reduced a little bit more so each one can stand up confidently and ask a question and we can comfortably answer them and not tell them, wait for the next class, my time is up, my period is over. So with this, I'll rest my case and request everybody to have specialists. I've always stressed that in previous forums also. Moral science is the moral values are reducing. GK is, children do not look after GK as much because we put up teachers who are free and not specialist teachers who are good in their respective field. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are GK enthusiasts and who have a great sense of moral education in terms of their education, who will teach
Right,
these
sir.
subjects a lot better. We have a math, science, English teachers, but the noisiest classrooms in the school are usually the electives, including these two. So have a specialist teacher for every subject. Don't take any subject lightly as a school leader, and ensure that every subject, every 40 minutes is worthwhile to the students and create holistic development. Thank you. This I'll rest my case.
Thank you, Prashantji. Thank you so much. Your stories are quite motivating. Someday, perhaps I'll come and meet you because stories is what actually excites kids. In fact, if this shared with students during the assembly instead of talking about something else would be a great thing. Great. You did talk about, recognizing the talents because each child is a genius in his own way. The only thing is that we as educators need to recognize them, support them, and allow them to do what they want to do. And I'm sure they will be able to do it. And age, like you rightly said, that person was 60. It was not that age, it was his willpower that he got it to him. And he did not want to get disturbed. That is why he removed his denture. I also think that he removed his denture so that he doesn't feel like eating anything. Because that's what would go on to that. Attitude to win is great. You are very, very right. And thank you so much for actually coming and talking about story, because storytelling is in itself is an art. And we had a very different session from your side. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure listening to you. I'm sure all the other panelists had a good time with you. One more thing, you did achieve that the participant list number did not go beyond 50. I know you've been looking at that point ki 50 se niche hua ki nahi. Nahi hua, sir. I've been watching that. So great, 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 great. Can we go on to the next speaker? So we have Himani ji. Himani ji, can we have your point, what you would want to contribute as a young budding educationist? Let's have your point of view.
Thank you, Jaswinder ji. So I am glad Prashant ji talked before me. So I'll take it forward from the thoughts that he enlightened all of us with. So his stories very beautifully brought ahead the points of willpower and thoughts, the power of thoughts, the power of what you think. If I really want to do something, I will find a way of doing it. Like we say, where there's a will, there's a way. Then Jaswinder ji, after my opening words, he's mentioned that we have to let and encourage students to think, to ask. So amongst all of this, the thought that comes ahead is thoughts. I have to learn to think. I have to, as a student, I have to learn to think. I have to learn to think what I am thinking, why I am thinking. So basically, if I bring it down to a simple sentence, I have to learn to drive my brain. I have to learn how to steer my brain, which side it is going. If I really have to have that willpower, I have to give my thoughts that strength that yes, I have to do it. I have to steer my thoughts away from, like again Jaswinder ji said, I if For him, he thought I would not wear my dentures, and I shared that thought. Even I thought the same thing कि dentures पहनूंगा तो भूख लग जाएगी, खाने का मन करेगा. Denture नहीं है तो पता है psychologically कि खाना नहीं खाना, and I will keep on going. So he thought that he made his brain think and drive around achieving his final destination. And this is when what is metacognition? Metacognition is a skill that helps you drive your brain. Steer it, speed it up when you need it, slow it down when you need it. That is what is metacognition. And that is what we need to teach the students. We as teachers, as educators, as edu leaders, we always talk of cognitive development. We always focus on cognitive development. But trust me, cognition with metacognition can do wonders. These both the skills in a student can create individuals who are unstoppable, who do not need regular dose of motivation, who will not fall in for depression, who will not fall in for things, who will not get demotivated at small failures. Rather, what we have all been talking about for so many years, that let us keep on failures are just stepping stones for all of us. I mean, a lot of you will agree with me. For all of us, these are just words. हम लोग सुनते आए हैं, हम आगे भी सुनते जाएंगे. But when we fail, we do actually give up at some point. We do actually feel यार नहीं करना मुझे इससे ज्यादा. That's it. कितनी मेहनत करूंगा. But very few of us are actually able to see failures as stepping stones and actually move ahead, learn from them. So why is that? Because very few of us are actually able to drive our brains. So if this is a quality which was there in which is there in all of us, some of us naturally inherit it and use it, others don't. But if we teach the students, and it is absolutely teachable, it can be learned and it should be learned. And even the better part is that this does not have a age limit, that I can only start with metacognition from a certain age. I can start teaching metacognition from as young as a 1 year old or a 2 year old. It is just the kind of conversations we have. So I'm talking about metacognition. How does it connect with NEP? NEP is talking again and again about developing skills in the students, about developing, teaching students how to learn. Why is it saying how to learn? Because like Jaswinder ji again in the beginning after my opening speech said, we don't even know what kind of market we'll have 20 years from now. All we can do at this point is predict. Aisa hoga. This might be possible. Maybe coding is the future. Coding will help like this. Or let's say critical thinking will help like that. But what exactly will happen, we don't know. Nobody 5 years before, we could not even have imagined that tomorrow we'll have a situation of COVID and a lockdown like this. And we'll have to learn on the spot. All my teachers on the spot learned Zoom, Google Meets, all of that. And they were able to take the sessions overnight, right? It had to happen. So this has been like an eye opener for all of us, that we need to be open to learning. Children have to develop their brains in a way that wherever they see around, they're able to learn. Everything they are, wherever they are, whatever they are doing, they are able to learn. And that comes when I start thinking about my thinking. So cognition and metacognition, when they work together, every situation, it engages thinking at two levels. The first level is I solve a problem. The second level is I reflect and I see that how was I able to solve this problem? What was the best ways? How could I have done it better? Did I do my best? Was it all that I could do? Now, all these questions, I'm sure for educators seem very familiar. We do it with the students. We tend to do it after the examinations, after tests, while revising exams, while going through the answer scripts and other times. But what if I make it a routine in the class? What if this is how I am teaching? What if every time I'm doing an activity with the student, every time I'm teaching a lesson, we give students food for thought and tell them, all right, what did you learn from this? Okay, and let these be open-ended questions. What did you learn from this? How do you think we can use it? Is it applicable? Can all of you apply it? Do all of you relate with this? Maybe there are some students who don't. And this is where another pedagogy, as per NEP, experiential learning comes into picture. My experiences are going to be absolutely different from Jaswinder ji's, from Prashant ji's. Absolutely different. They'll have their own experiences. Maybe what I talk about, Alauji says that, yeah, I have never experienced something like that. Instead, I have experienced something else. So that is the kind of conversation which actually opens up your brain and makes you think about your thinking, and in turn helps you to become a lifelong learner, because your brain is always actively thinking and actively working towards it. This is very important. There was another point that I would that Alokji mentioned, and I'll take it up. Before that, Jaswinderji, if you'll play a quick game with me, just few seconds. So I'll not take everybody. Everybody can be passive players here. Trainers always have something that they will want an interaction with. Okay, Jaswinderji, I'm going to say something, and whatever comes to your mind, you'll have exactly half a second to give your response. Done?
Done. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm the guinea
So
pig.
yeah. Everybody
Okay.
else can have their brains open. We'll just do it quick. I'll take everybody's inputs also. All right. So the first thing I'll ask you is A for
Apple,
K for
kite,
P for.
Punjab.
Trust me, till P for Punjab, Jaswinder ji was prepared that this has some reason behind it. But thanks, Jaswinder ji, that's all. So I've done this quick activity across, I think, 500 webinars and workshops so far combined. And across the country, even in Middle East, some sessions, everybody says A for apple, K for kite, P for parrot. Everybody. Now, like Alokji said, if all of us are thinking alike, it means no one is thinking. There is a problem with our thinking process. Again, why? Because 34 years back, when the education system began, right, it was begun by the Britishers, the formal education system. They wanted to generate clerks. They wanted people to think the way they think. So they said, all right, A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. That's it. Everybody, the first instinct with all of us is A for apple, B for ball. And yes, if I would have said, I'll give you another, if give me an answer in about 30 seconds, probably Jaswinder ji would have come up with much better words, because that is the time when you start thinking. But now we want, with metacognition, what we are actually trying to develop is that children think on the spur of the moment, they think out of the box, and they are active thinkers always, at all times. It is not only when in front of a teacher or in front of a parent, or when parent calls in front of the guest and says, chalo beta ABCD suna do. Chalo bache ek poem sunao. Right? It should not happen just then. He should be able to look around and quickly say, yeah, this I have read somewhere. That is how I am developing metacognition. And that is why it is important. It will improve your learning. It improves self-reflection. And reflection, my friends, for all of us, not only for children, for you, for me, is the key to growth. If as an individual, I cannot reflect on what I have done today, I will never be able to grow. I will be the best forever in my own sphere, because I'll think मैंने तो बहुत अच्छा किया. I put in a lot of work. Self reflection has to come, and unfortunately, with my current generation, what is happening is that I have single children. I have just one, maybe one sibling, or in most of the cases, not even that. So neither is self reflection taught at home, nor is self reflection done in class. So students don't learn. They think जो मैंने बोला वो सबसे अच्छा है, because the parents also pamper. So imagine the limitation of the growth that they have in the long run. So when we make children metacognitive, we improve their learning, their self-reflection. When they're able to reflect, they're able to give themselves a direction, just like Michael Phelps and the guy who ran the marathon. They're able to give themselves a direction and a goal that, yes, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to, and this is how I will drive my brain. I do this very small activity with the students. I show them two brain casts and I ask them, I said, how do you want to drive it? And trust me, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 16-year-olds, they come up with the weirdest ideas. The 16-year-old will tell me, I want to drive it full speed. I want to do this with it. Let them come up with their ideas. And then I say, all right, then what? Let them think by themselves what they want, what they are, where they are going wrong. Let us make them think thoughtful enough that we don't have to always tell them what to do, what not to do. They should be able to reflect on their thoughts and give themselves direction. They should be able to understand what, why, where, when, how. They should able to have those aha moments. Oh, I thought of this. Oh, I learned friction in class. And when today I'm seeing my mother in the kitchen, oh, kitchen mein mixing mein bhi friction ho raha hai. Oh yes, This is where, अच्छा अगर आटा गूंद रहे हैं, आटा में भी फ्रिक्शन हो रहा है, फ्रिक्शन से हीट हो रही है, oh wow, you know those moments. But they will only come when the student has that active thinking power, when he's able to think about his thoughts. And this is where metacognition plays a very important role. So a few tips. So this is about metacognition. A few tips which we can use in the class. One mnemonic I have created. I say Willie Wilson has a happy world. So I tell the students that when you begin your lesson, or when you've solved a problem or done question answers, read a lesson, you say Willie Wilson. So WW has a happy world. H, and W. So first W is, what is the problem? What should I do to solve this problem? What is my problem? What is the problem? What should I do to solve this problem? How will I solve this problem? Then how well did I solve this problem? And the last is, what can I do to solve it better? I will always have a scope for improvement. Maybe I can do it faster. Maybe I can do it with more accuracy. Maybe I could add more thoughts to it. Right? I am sure all the speakers today also will go back and reflect कि अच्छा मैं भी ये point बोल सकता था. अच्छा वो जो उन्होंने बोला ना, मेरे पास भी एक स्टोरी थी, मैं भी एक स्टोरी प्रशांत जी से बोल सकता था. Right? प्रशांत जी will think maybe मैं भी शुचि मैम जैसा कुछ बोल सकता था. Right? We all think on those lines. And it is good. Next time when we do it, we'll add those points there. And we will only be able to add, trust me, if we are actively thinking. If you are not
True.
thinking actively, then you'll forget. वो अभी आधे घंटे का रहेगा इस session के बाद. Next time you'll again do the same thing. But once we have actively thought with our metacognition, you're able to do it. So again, you can do Willie Wilson has a happy world with the students. You can encourage the students to decipher contextual meaning. So when you're teaching languages, Jaswinder ji being an ELT expert, he'll be able to reinforce on this, encouraging students to decipher contextual meanings, not just give them the meaning immediately for any word. Let them
Deducing. We call that
deduce.
deducing.
Yeah. So deduce the meaning. Read the sentence. Let's read it out aloud. Let's think इस context में इस word का क्या meaning हो सकता है. Let them come. Let it be wrong answers. Automatically they'll reach the right one. So
True,
this is
true.
one very good activity. Then you can encourage them consciously work on their learning styles. So maybe some students, कुछ बच्चे बोल बोल के पढ़ते हैं, fine. कुछ बच्चे लिख के पढ़ते हैं, fine. कुछ बच्चे चलते चलते पढ़ते हैं, the kinesthetic learners. They want something to work, their body has to be active. कुछ बच्चे brain maps बना के, mind maps बना के पढ़ते हैं. Some students might work best with brainstorming. Give them different options to learn. Give them different options. Then once they have learned and performed, ask them which worked best for you. This is when they are thinking कि अच्छा मेरे को ना वो वाला इतने अच्छे से नहीं आया. Again, I'm thinking about my thinking. Let them actively think about these things. You could do goal setting. In junior classes, do goal setting with me. That all right. Now let us set a goal. For example, something very small is I want to save money for my bike. So I want 1200 rupees by the end of 2 months. So which means I will have to save 600 per month. How much will I save every day? How will I save? Where will I put? You know, every kind of a question. Then students can do another activity the students can do is that every day, and at the end of every day, they could write their treasure moments. They could write 5 treasure moments. Let them write those 5 treasure moments. So they are again thinking about the whole day, what they've done in the entire day. Then next day you could discuss, the teacher could discuss any one treasure moment and why was it that treasure moment.
Himani ma'am, I would want you to conclude in a minute, please,
Yeah.
if you can do that. I'm sorry.
No,
But yeah,
I'm just close towards the closing. So these kind of activities which lead the students to think. Then one last activity I'll share with all of you is reading and thinking aloud. So when you are reading in the class, or even when the teachers are thinking, maybe they're solving on the board, let them think aloud. Get students students also to think aloud. When you think aloud, you listen to your thoughts and you get used to working and understanding your thoughts. So metacognition is a beautiful concept, and I'm sure I've given some very practical, I've tried to give some practical tips which you can use in the class. Let's try to use it. I am positive this will help in implementing national education policy and actually bringing out the true results that we are looking at. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Himaniji, for this wonderful ideas. I think what you were talking about is all about NLP also. And in case, I would always suggest that if the government can bring in NLP as a part of, their growing up, because NLP is something where you tell your brain what to do, And
What to
that's
do.
what it is. And that is what that person who was 60 years old, he was telling his brain that no, my body can do it, I
Yeah,
can do it, and that's it. So that's something very important. And in today's world where mental health is a major challenge, I think NLP is
absolutely.
something which will help a lot. Himani, you also
Yes.
talked about goal. You know, in Excel, if you have used Excel, there's something known as goal seek.
Hmm.
That's exactly what it is. This is what the answer should be, and how do you get onto that? So that's how
Yes.
thinking comes in. Rather than asking a student to give the answer, ask a student, can you ask me a question for this answer? That
Right.
is what sets them thinking. So you truly said that thinking is important, because if you think, your brain starts, it triggers your brain to think more. So thinking and asking questions is important. Unfortunately, in our country, when a child asks a question to his parents, and if the question is something that they don't know or they don't want to tell, there's a chup ho ja. That is where we have stopped.
Yeah,
Every question can have an answer for that age level.
absolutely,
If a
absolutely.
if a nursery kid asks you that why does the moon change its shape, that's okay, because he is inquisitive. If it's नहीं बड़ा बड़ा होगा समझ जाएगा, no. If somebody comes and asks, says, if a child says, ये मैंने butterfly देखा, ये butterfly कैसे बन गया? No, नहीं तो बड़ा होगा सीख लेगा. नहीं. You have to tell him what a larva is and how it metamorphoses. But in that age level or that level, that is something very important, which you rightly said. Brain is very powerful. We have to train our students how to use it. And believe me, Indians have a strong brain,
Very true, very true.
but we are not using it. So NEP somewhere is actually telling them when they are talking about research. Alokji, you said research, yes, at the college level, but I say research should start at class 1.
Absolutely.
Jaswinder
They should
ji,
be allowed to think. You're right, sir.
Jaswinder ji, I would like to add two lines here.
Please,
The
sir.
way Madam Himanshi Mittal ji has said that A for apple and B for ball. I have to remind you about two very old sayings. Number one, whenever you will ask, uh, try to kill two birds with one stone. Now the time has come to think that don't try to kill two birds with one stone, try for the three. Try for
दो
the three.
दो तो पॉसिबल
Number
ऑलरेडी
one.
हो गया है, आगे जाइए.
Number two, हम कहते हैं प्रैक्टिस मेक्स ए मैन, सभी कहेंगे
Perfect.
परफेक्ट. शिव खेड़ा जी कहते हैं प्रैक्टिस मेक्स ए मैन परमानेंट. Because if you are practicing something wrong over the years, you will become imperfect and permanent in that, but you will not become perfect. It is not sure. Anyhow, thank you, Himani ji, for your wonderful
Thank
talk.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Alokji. So, Himani, thank you for those wonderful insights. And especially as an NLP practitioner, I have had little one session with somebody. I know that it can change, it can do wonders. And I would suggest
Absolutely.
everybody should practice NLP. Going on to Vinayakji, it's your turn. Can we have your insights? Can we have your inputs? What do you think about NEP 2020? In today's session, we've all moved away from 2020 to a certain extent, but that was also very wonderful because everything somewhere connects to education. So NEP is not the end of what we can do for education. A lot more can be done. NEP is a guideline, and we can always add on to our what we want to do. We can have stories, we can have a lot of other things. So Vinayak ji, your turn. Over to you.
Thank you, Jaswinder ji. I think NEP is just laying that seed in our heads, how to think in the proper direction. And now everybody will have their own perspective, their own thought process, and their own directions. Just the thought process needs to be correct. That is what NEP is guiding us, and it's need to be adaptable to the modern need and the modern needs of the current education system, comparable to other education systems in the various other countries. So, like I said, music being my core area of expertise, I will just discuss on the how music is having its relevance in the NEP 2020. So, like the thought process that was missing in the school masses before NEP came into picture is that there was a lack of curriculum, dedicated curriculum for music. There was lack of awareness of different music genres and how a career-oriented music education program can improve a child's future. The availability of instruments were less, and a dedicated infrastructure was not in place in the school so that each child could actually feel an instrument in their hand and learn music by playing the instrument. It's reduced to a vocals classes in most of the schools. Even part-time classes were done where few children would carry their instruments, and I'm talking about the masses. I'm not talking about a few niche schools. I'm talking about the masses. And like this thought process needs to be changed. Like there was a 5-year nationwide study that was conducted by Mysore University scholar Dr. DVK Vasudevan. The purpose of that study was to analyze music education in schools across India, and the ratings from the central schools and the state level boards were compared to those of the schools in the Western countries, with a special focus on the USA. The study found that while the government of India, the HR ministry, and NCERT were professing the value of music education, there has been a total failure to incorporate these ideas into Indian schools. Now, gladly, NEP 2020 lays focus on music as it has been mentioned more than 20 times in the policy. Now, cognitive scientists, educationalists, learning experts, everyone has produced innumerable studies that establish the value of music education for a child at an early age. So I'm not even going to go there. But the problem is, like, due to the pressures of modern living, not every child has an access to some level of music learning. Now, this integration has been mandated in many boards, including CBSE, ICSE, but the effective implementation has been beyond the reach of even the schools that have the best of their intentions. So, uh, now, how many schools actually encourage students to opt for music as a mainstream subject? I can give you an example. In St. George College, Missouri, we are associated with them. There is a child called Nirvana. You can go and go to the YouTube and search him. That child is a record holder for a fastest guitar player. Now, he has been practicing with weights on his right hand. So, like Sir was quoting example of Michael Phelps, there are such thought process that are in students, that is there in each one of us. It is just that needs to be identified at a very early age. So he was practicing with weights on his hands, and so that he could increase the finger playing speeds and increase the strength in his fingers. He used to have finger weights as well. Now that child, after completing class 12, he has shifted to Australia and he is pursuing his education, but along with that he has opened his own music academy and is earning well than probably an MBA would have, or a chartered accountant would have. So, like, these opportunities are there, these opportunities are available. We need to identify and give the students an idea, yes, this is something that can be done. Now, in the previous policy, music was treated more of a core curricular and a non-scholastic extracurricular activity, which was not at par with the scholastic subjects. I'm really glad that there has been a sincere effort in this policy where such demarcation has been tried to remove, and the students who are committed to pursuing subjects such as this would find it difficult to juggle academics with music in the current environment. Now, but like I was mentioning previously, Jack Ma told it, like, in the future, what would we want our children to learn? So they should be focused and they should be pushed towards the creative side of things, so then they can create their ideas. They are learning coding, they are learning music, they are learning songwriting, they are learning story writing, because human creativity will always be needed. There will be never lack of jobs where human creativity is involved. Now, this is where Torrance stepped into India in 2017, and we have been successfully laying structure to music education in India for our 85 plus associated schools. And we are already associated with close to 200 plus schools in the US since 2010. Now, we provide the entire infrastructure at zero cost to schools. There is no setup cost. We provide a modernized curriculum for the music education for both instrumental learning as well as non-instrumental learning. We provide you with the teachers, the trained and the skilled manpower who can adapt to the new methodologies of teaching, ensure the day-to-day maintenance of the music equipment is done. And it is very important to give students a platform in which they can look up to, that they want to showcase their skills. So we have created a band contest in Pune, which is attended by a live audience of 7,000 plus people in Pune. It is the biggest band contest for Indian schools, period. So we are trying to bring in the highest of globally accepted standards and techniques, both in terms of technology for online learning and for in-school music education. And we deliver it to schools at a very economical cost so that students of any economic background can have access to a structured music education, which they truly deserve. I'll just like to share my screen to show you all a few pics to give you a better understanding of the concept. Is my screen visible?
Yes, very visible.
Thank you. So like these were the rooms given to us by a school in Pune. And this is what we did to it. Like this all invested in is done by us. The setup, the carpeting, artwork, and everything. We create these vibrant creative spaces. So the schools, students, rather than treating music as a zero period or a free period, they just run to these rooms. They wait for the entire week to lay the hands on these instruments. For the piano room, we'll provide you with a piano teacher. For the guitar room, we'll provide you with a guitar teacher. If school already has existing teachers, we train them as per the curriculum, as per the new methodology, so that they can take the music period in a very structured format. And this is the drum rooms. So like we have a team like this person whom you can see on the screen, his name is Rushikesh and he's an engineer. So in our team we have every thing from engineers to MBAs to dentists, but one thing is common, that they have a keen passion for music, and with passion we can achieve any kind of an outcome. So that is what we look for when we hire a teacher to be given to a school. And that is what I urge all the teachers to all the schools to do as well. Like we should just stop looking into the certification aspect of a particular teacher, and go into the passion side of things, like how much passionate is he about his subject. That is something which we need to identify, because a person might lack certificate, but that passion can take him multiple places. So with that, I would like to conclude my discussion. Thank you, Jaswinder ji, and thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you for your wonderful presentation and insight into what Torrance as a company does. I do understand music is important. I also remember my schooling, when one day they gave me a bongo, you used to have those bongos and I played it, but that's all I did because there was only one bongo in my school. So yes, this is important. People should understand. And you never know, you may have an A.R. Rahman coming out of your own school. So that's something very, very important. And very frankly, music calms down people. Whether they become musicians or not is
Absolutely.
secondary. But what is important is calming down, because today's stressful world, my God, I don't know.
So
We count
basically, the suicide rates are going up and everything is happening. So when a child goes home, it does not mean that he needs to create music. If he has a small synthesizer or a guitar, he can just pick up that instrument, strum a few chords, string a few lines, so that there is a sense of calmness in the house as well. His parents are feeling nice. He himself is feeling nice about it. So that's our idea. Like at least that much, and everybody should know.
Punjabi can know better than anybody else because our life is music, drums.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you so much for your talk, Vinayak. Now I'm going to change my seat and I'm going to become a presenter from a moderator. I need to put forward my points on what I think about education, NEP 2020, and what language part. So it has been slightly touched upon by Suchi ma'am about the teaching in local language. Alokji, you also talked about it. You had a question on, till what age level it has to be done. So let me come and put up my points here onto that. See, NEP 2020, like I told, is a disruptive policy. It is coming up with a huge, huge, huge change, a lot of change. And what I'm going to talk about, what change they're bringing into the language of teaching. I'm so happy. Though I promote as a company, we're an English language lab company. We work with more than 1 million students every day in our country. But what we understand is that in the early formative years, in the foundation years, if core subjects are taught in mother tongue, in the local language, that is going to benefit the students to a great level. You see, what happens is, imagine when I'm trying to acquire a new language, English, and I'm taught the other subjects in English, I'm struggling with English and I have to work with other languages. That is a challenge, and that is where a lot of students lose their interest in education, and they become the so-called backbenchers or the not performers. Backbenchers are not non-performers. Somebody said that most of the successful people are backbenchers. I'll tell you why. Because they know that they have to struggle, and when they struggle in school, they know how to struggle in life, and they come out with a solution. But coming back to this, it's a very, very welcoming. I personally welcome this move of the government that to bring in early education in the mother language. But that does not mean English should not be looked at it. It nowhere says that schools have to teach in the local language only. They have a choice of teaching in the local language, even if they are an English medium school. So what we need to do is we need to work on with different languages. There's a 3 language system where they talk about the local language, they talk about English, and they also talk about a classical language, which in our case is Sanskrit. In the south, it is already Tamil, and they'll have other languages. So what happens is we all need to understand that by the age of 8, a child can acquire up to 5 languages. 3 languages is not a difficult thing. There's another research which says that if somebody speaks in 3 or more languages, their brain works better. Imagine one sentence and you're putting in 3 languages and still making a meaning out of it, right? So it's important. And literacy is important. Early literacy is important. They should be exposed to 3 languages at least right from the foundation or the prep time. So that's something which is a very, very welcome this thing. Understand one thing, that we need to know our local language to understand our people around us. We need to know the classical language Sanskrit to understand the heritage of India. It is not only heritage, there's a lot which has been written in those scriptures which countries like Germany are taking advantage and we are not. So very important for Indians to become little more nationalist. We already are, but that is what is important. So know your heritage, know your local heritage, know the country, and that is why these languages are being written and very strong. But understand one important thing: English cannot be put aside. Like sir said, we are there. The more Indians are outside country, there are more Indians working in the other country because of our strength of English. See, India is already the back office of the world. We are going to become the factory of the world. We are going to become the service center of the world. And one language that the world communicates in is in English. China is trying a lot. We cannot put it behind. We need to work and we need to get onto that. So that's something which is very, very, very important. We need to work onto that. So English is something. Let me tell you, our company, as a company, we have developed the world's first Sanskrit teaching lab. What are we trying to do? We are just trying to make language acquisition easy. Language is never taught or learned, it is acquired. So what we do is we create an environment within a school where you actually learn or acquire a language like English or Sanskrit, and we are going on to French also. So what we do is create these learning modules, train the teachers so that language acquisition becomes simple. You can acquire English the way you acquired your mother tongue. English is not a strange language. Like Himani said, that the Britishers wanted us to be just followers, just managers, not the doers. So they came up and they gave us English, and when they showed how English should be taught, it was all grammar and all that. You don't need that, राइट. यू स्पीक हिंदी, आपको हिंदी का व्याकरण नहीं आता लेकिन आप हिंदी में अच्छी तरह बात करते. द सेम गोज फॉर इंग्लिश. सो इट हैज टू बी एक्वायर्ड एज अ लैंग्वेज इन यूज. Sanskrit has to be acquired as a language in use. Hindi has to be acquired as a language in use, and that's what NEP talks about. So we need to work on this. We need to have this multiple language thing, which is a very, very important. And we're helping more than 1 million students every year. In fact, recently we were given a project to work with all the Kendriya Vidyalayas, 1100 of them, and setting up language labs there. So we've done with around 474 and going on. So what actually has to be done? We've taken help of technology. Technology can do anything, Alok sir. Technology can do anything, Suchi ma'am and Vinayak sir and Himani. What we have to understand is how to use it optimum. It can't be 100% technology. Technology has to assist. When we talk about teacher training, the first thing that we need to train them in is that how to use technology to get information. There's an information overload. The internet is full of information. What we need to train our teachers first is into how to access that information, how to filter that information, and how to use. Because let me tell you one thing very, very important. Our teachers will never be able to match the pace of the young learner today. So we have to become a facilitator from a teacher. We have to accept that, yes, I don't know that, but I will tell you what to do it. You see, we are talking about research based teaching. I'll tell you what we need to do, what I would propose if I were to own a school or if I were to be a teacher. If I have to teach a particular topic, I'll not go and start teaching on that day. Let me give you an example of volcanoes. If I go say, okay, today we are going to talk about volcanoes and start teaching, kids are just going to listen. But if I tell them that tomorrow we are going to work on volcanoes, I want each student to come up with 10 lines of their own. Well, you know what they're going to do? Go back home, straight Google it out. Unfortunately, they will not be able to get those 10 lines. They will get 10,000 lines. They'll have to go through that and create, research, and find out those 10 lines. And then what we do next day, we have a peer group teaching, peer group learning, where each child brings up his own points. They discuss, so that, collaborative learning, creative learning, and then they come out of all those 30 students making their 10 lines, and out of that they get the final 10 lines, which is something of their own. That is research based learning, and students will love to do that. They will go back home, do research, because we want to show them, we want to tell them how to find out. There's a lot of information there. What is correct for you is what they do, and that is what we talk about flipped classroom. So when we talk about language learning, we also do the same way. What we do is we make them do role plays. We make them talk to each other. You can't have language learning by a teacher telling you what to do. It is one way. But when the students do a peer group learning, role play based learning, that is what language is, and that is how they work onto that. So what I would suggest is that NEP 2020 talks about languages, talks about digitization, talks about research based learning, and it can be in anything. It is not only in maths and science, it can be anywhere. You need to know what to find where, and that's what is important, and then get the crux out of it. So what I would do, since I'm supposed to moderate, I can't go beyond my 8-10 minutes, so I'm stopping myself from doing that. It was wonderful interacting with all of you. Now, as concluding, we, at this India International Forum, what they do is they have got one ritual that everybody they ask for their concluding remark, and along with concluding remark, they have a habit of asking one thing is that if you were made the education minister of India for one day, what is it, that one thing that you would want to implement or change? So we will start with Suchi Gupta ma'am. Ma'am, if you were to be the education minister of India for one day only, right? What is it that you would want to bring in or you want to change, along with your concluding remark for today's session, ma'am? Over to Suchi Gupta ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jaswinder sir. Firstly, I must admit it was a pleasure listening to all the speakers, and it was actually a very enriching session. I must say, I have attended some of the previous sessions also, but today's was the best which I had attended till now. And all the naturally the credit goes to the speakers, the this Himani ma'am, the ideas she has given, Prashant sir, the stories he narrated, to Jaswinder Singh sir, who has actually talked about the languages, and thanks, very much thanks to Vinayak sir and the wonderful things his team is doing. Now, coming to the question, it is something like as if I am going in for Miss India and contest, and what if you are made this thing? Anyway, what if I am made the education minister of India? Firstly, it would be an honor to be so. Secondly, since I am in the profession, a noble profession as we call it, the education system for the past 25 years, I would definitely want the teachers to be given that respect and honor to the ultimate, which actually is not there. Any parent at the at his own liberty walks in the office of the principal or walks into the staff room and starts shouting and screaming at the parent, at the teacher, and that is really very disturbing. We understand that they have their own concerns. We understand that they have their own points, but then they must also understand that how hard it is to tackle a class of 35 to 40 smart students and teach them. Teach them is a very broader concept nowadays. We are not actually, as Jaswinder sir said, we are not actually teaching them, we are there to guide them. They already have various platforms to be taught, and still the teachers are doing a job. The grass level teachers, that is the entity teachers, they are just not given the credit they need to be given. They are managing crying, screaming children, and that too of the age of 3 to 5. कोई कहता है मुझे ये नहीं खाना, मुझे आज नहीं पढ़ना, मुझे बाहर खेलने जाना है, मुझसे नहीं लिखा जाता, आई वांट टू स्लीप. और कैसे उन सबको इकट्ठा करके that entity teacher tackles those students, hats off to them. So we have to appreciate all the labor which the teachers are putting in, and accordingly they need to be respected, they need to be valued, and they need to be identified at the higher level. So that is what, as an education minister, I would be thinking about. I think that is enough. Thank you so much.
Suchi ma'am, thank you for that wonderful thing. You actually spoke what I've been speaking about in various forums. I'll talk about my point. It is very important that these teachers, our teachers, us teachers, be recognized and respected. I fully validate your point. Hats off to what you're thinking. I will come to something at the end, which I will be requesting all of you to work on, especially in this field. So thank you so much, Suchi ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful ideas. I now move on to Alok sir. Alok sir, your concluding remark, and what would you want to change or do if you given one day of freedom to change anything and anything in education as a Minister of Education, India, Union Minister, sir?
First of all, I extend my gratitude and thanks to one and all, the organizers and the participants, the key speakers, and the other participants for patiently hearing and participating. And to be very frank, I personally feel that we as the leaders has enough responsibility to carry the mission and the information of this proposed national education policy to the grassroots level, so that we can make all the stakeholders understand what this new education policy is. Because without understanding, without making them understand, you cannot make them to learn and to implement. Therefore, this is a key factor, and all the school principals and the leaders, they should take it as the responsibility to guide not only the teachers, but the parents also, the managements also, and the children, of course. The second part, that is with regard to, had I been the education minister for a day, the very common thing is most of the people, they are of the view that the present Delhi government has shown some achievements in the education and the government organized schools. The condition of the government schools during the last few years has dramatically changed, and this model, even the foreign countries, the representatives from the foreign countries, they have also visited to see the scenario and how the infrastructure has been provided in a short span of time over there, and how the results have the output, the results in the CBSE and the state boards have gone up many times. And I personally, if I had been the education minister, I would have tried to, apart the party lines, apart the political party lines, I would have taken care of that how the government of Delhi has implemented and had improved the quality of education in the government schools. Thank you very much.
Very rightly said, Alok sir, that if you would be the minister, you would appreciate what government of Delhi has done, and you would see that everybody does that. Sir, let me share my experience with Delhi government. Everybody, the panelists, I would want to say that I am from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Before COVID, a year before that, Delhi government came up with a project to train their Delhi government Hindi medium schools. Okay, they wanted to train them in English, and they were government schools, Hindi medium schools. That project was 50% taken up British Council, 50% by our company. We are known as Wordsworth. We took that up. Sir, you will be surprised to know that the government gave us 5.5 crores to do a 1 month project for just 12,000 students. It was not money, but what they did was they told us, here, take this project, and your end result would be actually checked by a third party. And they got Trinity College London to do that. And they told us, take this money, but you get this money only if you achieve this. And if you don't achieve, you lose everything. Imagine doing a 1 month project where each student for 6 hours daily, we were asked to train them in language, spoken English, and the results were excellent. We were given a free hand. They asked us how much time. They gave the infrastructure. They said, you give me the result, I give you the money, I give you the infrastructure. And that is what works. Governments should actually get work done, not do the work. They should be the observers. And that project has been actually looked upon as one of the best projects that were ever taken up by any government in India.
I think
Unfortunately,
Government of India recently is trying to enhance the allocation to the 6% of the GDP, and if
that is
they,
what will help. Yes, yes,
they,
yes.
they do so, most probably the condition of the other government schools throughout the country is also going to be improved. That's personal.
Sir, but unfortunately, what they are doing is they are hampering the private schools from doing what, rather than enabling the government schools to do other things. But that is besides the point. We will. This is not the forum to talk about that. Yes, very rightly said. An excellent idea that free hand to government, and each another all the governments should look at what Delhi government did. Thank you so much for your remarks, sir. I now move on to Prashant sir. Prashant sir, your concluding remarks on NEP 2020 and today's session, and also what would you want to do if you were to be the education minister for a day? Please, sir. Prashant sir, over to you.
Yes, sir. One is the way and the ease with which anybody becomes a teacher. You know, they say if you can't be anything, you become a teacher. So the entry barriers and the standards of teaching teachers, obviously, but then how you enter the teaching profession should be made a little more, drastic and difficult, so that only the abled and the cream, if I can call it, reach the education system, because in their hands we put in the lives of so many children or the future of the country. And to complement that, the salary scales for teachers also need to be going up, much like the Scandinavian countries, to put them in the top bracket with, really policymakers and judiciary, if I can call it. Yeah. So that one, they get paid well. And secondly, the best are inclined to come into teaching and at the school level, they're at the college level and higher education. But yeah, at the school level also, we need to have the best brains to come inside the classroom and teach the fluid minds of the young children. So that will be my desire if I'm allowed to make one policy decision. I didn't see much in NEP with regard to salary scales, but yeah, that need to be go up, and the quality of teacher training that we have in the country. Yes.
Yes, very well said, Prashant sir. I would want to get a story here because since you are a storyteller, the whole important point is, in one of these Scandinavian countries, the doctors and the engineers approached the government and said, why can't we get the same salary scale as the teachers?
Yes.
You know what was the answer? The answer was, you are common people and teachers are not common people, so don't compare, get out. And that is important. Teachers are not common people. They are creators of you. So I will come on because I've got a strategy in my mind. I'm going to come and talk about that. Thank you, Prashant sir, so much for your concluding remarks and what you would want to do. I now move on to Himani ji, your concluding remarks for the session today, and what would you want to do if you were to be a young, minister, education minister? Please, your turn, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jaswinder ji. So now as a part of the concluding remarks, I think over the lockdown also we've learned a lot about the policy and what and why of the education policy, which is very clear, and it is very, very effective a policy if we look at it with a positive outlook. Now that what and why is clear, let us all work towards the how. It is very nice, it is a beautiful policy, but if it is not implemented well, the whole thing goes for a toss. So now I would leave with the concluding remarks saying that we let us focus all on how of the policy, how the implementation is going to be the most effective thing. And should anybody need any support, I am happy to help. And if I'm given the chance to become the education minister of the country, I think I'll work on the same lines now. After the policy, if I get a chance to become the minister, hand holding of the teachers and the trainings. See, it's very easy to say that we need a change, but actually to change, to bring about a transformation, it takes a lot of effort. It's not easy. So I would want to facilitate the hand holding and the training of the teachers more effectively so that they can easily transform and bring in the new policy in a much more effective way. That would be my call as the minister.
Very noble idea. Thank you, Hemani ji. So we look forward to you working as an education minister and getting these kinds of changes. I now move on to Vinayak ji. Vinayak ji, your concluding remark and what would you want to do? I understand you will come from the music standpoint, but whatever you want to have if you become the minister, and your concluding remark, please.
Basically, I think this thought has been imbibed into us by Z Cinema and Anil Kapoor by that movie Nayak showing to us every week. So I think everybody wanted to become a minister at some time and change this, change that, but it's more difficult, easier said than done. What I feel is, as an education minister, we need to even reach out to the parents and at homes. Right now, the NEP policy is being read by educators, by schools, but how many parents are actually aware about what is going to happen when this slowly these policy changes starts to be implemented in the schools? So their thought process need to change from like looking at a mark sheet of a class 12 child and saying कि yes 95% आ गया तो अब SRCC में admission मिलेगा. No, that is not the goal. That is not the goals of the schools as well. They need to understand that, and they need to educate the parents who are at home. So they should run ad campaigns, probably in newspapers, making aware the parents also that yes, these things are going to change. So your mindset also needs to change so that you don't put undue pressure. Otherwise, if schools are doing something and the parents are under conflict, then that will create. And coming from a musical angle, I think the easiest way for it is to come out with a TV jingle, like when there was a nutritional deficiency noted in the middle class, the egg council came up with Sunday hoya Monday roj khao ande. That jingle still resonates with us, and that actually improved the uh, health. It made the middle class aware, yes, at a lower cost you can give better nutritional health to your child, so why not do that? So similarly, if some kind of a jingle or something comes which educates the parents about what are the changes that are going to happen in the education system moving forward in the 5 years, and the parents need to be aware of that. So that is what I would like to propose as an education minister.
So thank you, Vinayak ji. So why don't you come out with a jingle for all us educationists? We can get it. You have a company which does that. We look forward to having that
Absolutely.
from you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I now ask Jaswinder Singh to give his concluding remark. I don't know how to have two hats, but I'm going to talk about two things. One, my concluding remark would be that, though we have not discussed NEP a lot in this session, we've discussed other things, but let's understand NEP is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful policy. Very a huge change, very difficult to do it. But I would suggest, and I would conclude by saying that let's implement this policy piece by piece. Let's not worry about what will happen. There's a lot of things that we need to do, and let's not ask the government to do it. Their work is to create a policy. It is the onus is on us as educators to implement this policy, to let the first class citizens of this country. We need to respect them. We need to pay them well. We need to attract the right kind of talent. Teaching should not be the last option. They're passionate about it. We need passionate trainers, and for that, they need to have a good life. They need to be respected well. So that is what we want to do. I would say teachers be respected the most. They should be the first class citizens. That's an important part. Now, what I want to request, if all of you could get onto this next point, I'm going to share a document. I'm going to talk about something, and I would want all of your support from you. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to, share a document, and I am going to ask for your support in this. So let me share this document. This document here talks about, we as a company, we are into teaching and we meet so many teachers. Our company has trained more than 25,000 teachers. But what we feel is that we need to recognize teachers. We recognize a chartered accountant when he writes a CA in front of his name, a doctor when he writes a DR in front of name, an engineer when he writes an ER in front of his name or her name. Why can't we have an ED written in front of us? We are educationists. Let the world know that we are educationists and we are doing a good job. We are creating the citizen and the workforce of tomorrow. We are creating the humans. We are actually teaching them. So we need to be recognized. So I request each one of you to start using ED in front of your name and let your teachers ask them to do the same, that the world will know. Not only that the world will respect, if I know that I'm a teacher, I'm being respected, I will do my work better. I will do my work with my full heart. And I have taken this liberty of writing this for all of you. If you could use this, I'm sure we can go a long way and we can have a lot of this thing. So my request to all of you is, let's promote this. Let's promote that. All of us, let us call upon the fellow teachers, education, that let's have ED, a prefix. Okay, let's have an ED. Let the world know that I am a teacher and I am a proud teacher and I'm creating the nation builders. So I would conclude my remark with this, and this also ends today's session on this thing. A wonderful session. And thank you everybody. Thank you Suchi Gupta ma'am. Thank you Alok sir. Thank you Prashant ji. Thank you Himani ji. Thank you Vinayak ji. And we had a wonderful session. We look forward to connecting with each other, helping this nation go to the next level, because we have the best of the brains in our country. The only thing is we need to steer them properly and we need to take them. So my request to you, that please start using ED. Let us become something. Yes, we've already got ED Kirti. Thank you so much. We've got a lot of people who are writing it in the thing. Thank you so much, Neelam ji and Anita ji. We all look forward to this. Thank you. And I conclude this session. And we've actually 18 minutes overpassed, but it was a wonderful session, listening to everybody, hearing out. And this is one forum when we open our hearts. And that's important, because somebody listens to us. We need people to listen to us, and we need to listen to others to understand what everybody's thinking. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right. Okay.
Everybody have a great day ahead. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.